This video is of my 1/43rd scale models of Formula One World Drivers' Champions cars from 1960 through 1969. These 10 cars were driven by 7 different drivers, each model car being of that year's champion. These models were manufactured by Brum, Onyx, Quartzo, or Spark. For the second year in a row, Jack Brabham continued to show the advantage of rear-engined race cars with his championship run in 1960. He won 5 races in a row and clinched the championship with 2 races yet to be run. If Fangio was the master of the 50s, then Jack Brabham is that of the 60s. It was the last year in which a front-engine car was a race victor, Phil Hill's and Ferrari's Italian Grand Prix win. All the British teams boycotted the Italian Grand Prix, citing the unsafe condition of the track. Cooper, having been the winning car in 6 of the races, took the Manufacturers' Championship, their second. This is a Brum model of the Cooper Climax T53, in which he won the British Grand Prix and the championship in 1960. The engine in this Cooper is the 1100cc Coventry Climax 4-cylinder, an engine that was designed and used for the pumper in a fire brigade engine. It had an aluminum block and cylinder head, an overhead cam, and was quite light for its power output, making it ideal as a race car engine. Phil Hill made Ferrari's first rear-engine race car a smashing success. In the Ferrari 156, he won 2 races and his only championship. He is the only American-born world champion. Wolfgang von Trips and Sterling Moss also won 2 races that year. Moss finished 3rd in this, his last Formula One season. Ferrari won 5 of the 8 races, with wins by Phil Hill, Wolfgang von Trips, and Giancarlo Baghetti, and took the Manufacturers' Championship. Wolfgang von Trips and Hill were tied going into the next-to-last race at Monza, in which von Trips was killed. Hill won that race. This is the Quartzo model of the Ferrari 156, in which he won the Belgian Grand Prix. The 1962 championship was decided in the last race for Graham Hill, when Jim Clark crashed out of the South African Grand Prix. Hill won 4 of the 8 races. Clark won 3. Graham Hill's iconic Formula One helmet design was inspired by his membership in the London Rowing Club. His son Damon, world champion in 1996, used the same motif for his helmet. BRM took the Manufacturers' Championship, their first and only time. This is the Brum model of the BRM P56, in which Hill won the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Jim Clark, driving for Lotus, won his first Drivers' Championship with 3 races to go. He won 7 of 10 races in the championship, a number that would not be beaten until 1988, when Ayrton Senna won 8. Every pole position and race in the 1963 championship were won by British drivers, the first time that this was achieved by any single nation. John Surtees' Ferrari win at the German Grand Prix was the only non-British car that won that year. This is the Lotus Climax, in which Clark won the South African Grand Prix, modeled by Brum. John Surtees was a 7-time Grand Prix motorcycle world champion. Surtees won the 1964 championship by 1 point. He didn't win until the 6th race and finished only 6 of the 10 races. He won 2 races, but so did Dan Gurney, and Graham Hill and Jim Clark each won 3 races. Ferraris were the winning car in 3 races. This is the Ferrari 158 in which Surtees won the Italian Grand Prix, modeled by Brum. This was Clark's and Lotus Climax's second championship. Clark won the championship with 3 races left. He won 6 of the 10 races. This car is the Lotus with the 1.5 liter Climax V8 engine, in which Clark won the British Grand Prix, modeled by Brum. 1966 is the only time the World Championship has been won by a driver in a car of his own construction and bearing his own name. Brabham won 4 of the 10 races. The Brabham used the Repco engine, a V8 designed and produced in Australia. The usually reserved Brabham at the Dutch Grand Prix came out with a beard and cane, having some fun with the accusation that he was too old. John Surtees, second in the championship, won 2 races in different cars, Ferrari and Cooper Maserati. This is the Brabham BT20, in which Brabham came in second in the Mexican Grand Prix. This is a model by Spark. Although Jim Clark won 4 races to Denny Hulme's 2, Hulme won the championship on points. Hulme did not have one pole position. Denny Hulme is the only world champion to come from New Zealand. The Ford Cosworth DFV V8 engine that later became ubiquitous in Formula One was used for the first time in Lotus in 1967. This is the Quartzo model of the Brabham Repco BT24 in which Denny Hulme won the German Grand Prix. Graham Hill, this time driving a Lotus Ford Cosworth, won the 1968 championship, his second. 1968 saw the introduction of aerodynamic wings and rear spoilers. Hill's championship was decided in the 12th and last race of the season at the Mexican Grand Prix. Jim Clark was killed in a Formula 2 race at Hockenheim between the first and second races. This is the Onyx model of the Lotus Ford 49B, in which Graham Hill won the Grand Prix of Monaco. Champion Jackie Stewart won 6 of the 12 races in 1969. He truly dominated the year, winning by over 2 laps at the Spanish Grand Prix, a minute in front at the French GP, and by more than a lap at the British GP. He went on to have 2 more World Championship years. Jackie Ickx, who finished second in the championship, was the only other driver to win more than 1 race, winning 2. Stewart is the only driver to win the World Championship in a car built in France. He is the last surviving Formula One world champion from the 60s and is the oldest living Grand Prix winner. This is the Quartzo model of the Matra Ford MS-80 Stewart drove in the Canadian Grand Prix. Mechanical reliability was an issue in these years. For example, in a 1960 season summary of finishers, compared to Formula One today when mechanical failure is uncommon, 40% of entrants finished as retirements. Graham Hill placed in only 2 of the 8 races he entered that year. Dan Gurnley only 2 of 7. Where thankfully death and injury are rare today, there were 14 Formula One drivers' deaths in the 1960s decade. I hope you have enjoyed this gathering of famous drivers and race cars from the 60s.